डाउट्स में अटकते,
सब्जेक्ट्स में लटकते, कब तक हम रहेंगे सर पटकते।
अब वेदांतु देगा प्रॉब्लम से छुटकारा।
समझ आएगा तो मजा आएगा, मजा आएगा तो समझ आएगा। बढ़िया टीचर्स प्रॉब्लम्स चुटकी में सुलझाएंगे, डाउट सारी जिंदगी से
Raj, I got your doubt. This is your answer.
समझ आएगा तो मजा आएगा, मजा आएगा तो
Vedantu. Learn live online. To attend a free live class, download the app now.
Hey guys, good evening, namaste. Welcome back to our class 10 ICSE Biology series. This is Ambika, Master Teacher of Biology at Vedantu. How are you all? Thank you very much for joining me today. It's 5 p.m. All of you must be back from school, tired. What are the thoughts going on in your heads right now? Yes, guys. Hello, Abhijit. Okay, so this is again the start of another brand new week, another Monday. Make sure you have set your targets for the week. Hi, Arya. Make sure you have set your targets for the week and you follow all your timetables to the dot, because we don't have any more time to waste, right? Towards the end of November, we started with the first week of October. Remember, we are already in the end of November. Hi, Shibu. Yes, and we have probably 2 solid months, December and Jan, before your pre-boards in school gets started. So by the end of January, I want all of you to tell me that you have completed with all your portions. I want you to come and tell me that you are done studying and revising all the topics. Hi, Krishna Kumar. Hi, Hussein, Renu, Anand, Anurag. Exam preparation. Chinmay. Gopakumar. Definitely, yes. Because I keep saying this, right? Your success is also our success. So when it's my session, your success is also my success. So we all, not just me, all of us teachers here at Vedantu keep praying that all your exams should go off well, that you must be able to come out with flying colors. Yes. Hi Kushal, hi Anshika. Thank you so much. So let's get started without wasting any more time. We are done with one major chunk of your ICSE syllabus, which was human physiology. Right, all those chapters of human physiology are done, and we had an amazing live quiz at the end of last week in which you all participated very, very actively, and we had a great interactive session, right? So, yes, Anurag, in case you are asking me, yes, I am good. Thank you, Sabina. Yes. Okay, so now I thought, since human physiology is done and because some of you have been asking me for it, I thought it's time to focus a little bit on plants, right? So for the next few sessions, we will have a few plant-based topics. Obviously, the first chapter is absorption by roots, as you can see here. So as always, I like to start with a positive quote. Sprintex for ICSE. Yes, Anand. That is in our minds. You will get the update soon, okay? So the bad news is time flies, and the good news is you're the pilot. Why did I tell you this? I already started off the session telling you that we are in the end of November. We are now, today is the 25th of November, right? So we have just 2 months exactly before your actual pre-boards get started. So even now, even if you have not started revising, started preparing for your exams, even if you have not done anything, it's all right until the end of November, or at least until the first week of December. I will tell you it's not all right. Even after that, if you come and tell me, ma'am, I have not made a timetable, I have not started studying, then I'm going to tell you something else. I may end up becoming a very angry and a strict teacher. Yes, but until then, it's all right. I'm giving you a little bit of time. Ideally, save yourself. Start right now, this very second. Part of your purpose attending this session should be because you don't want to do this chapter later on. Absorption by roots is the chapter we are going to be doing today. So Your sole purpose is to focus in today's class in such a manner that you will not have to study it again when you sit to read it by yourself. Yes? Thank you, Priyambada. Okay, so that is what I mean. The good news is you're the pilot. Even now, I'm telling you that you are the pilot. Things are in your control. But in case you don't have motivation to study, just close your eyes and visualize what it would be like if I told you your biology board exam is happening tomorrow. If that is the case, what would you be doing? Your level of motivation, the level of anxiety, I'm not saying you have to have exam stress, but everything should be at the peak. Your push and the desire to study should be at its peak from today. Yes, guys? Okay. Gaurav, the sense organs, I mean, that chapter is done because we had to cut short since the chapter was very long. I think I told you in the last session also. That is why we decided to take your poll, and I picked up the topics based on your votes. Okay, so we may not have the time to create or do another session on sense organs specifically, but I will keep it in mind. Today, at least, we will have to start with the next chapter, which is absorption by root. Hi, everyone who has joined me now. Anyway, we are just getting started, but guys, do not forget to hit the like button. If you have been enjoying all our sessions, do remember to share it with all your friends, especially all your ICSE friends. Just one quick question here. No, you are not late. Manshu, we have just started. This is the first, one of the first slides that I'm showing you. Just one thing I want to ask. How many of you here are from ICSE and how many from CBSE? How many from State Board? I would like to know. Just type CBSE or ICSE or State Board, whatever you belong to. It's just for me to know. ICSE, Anant, CBSE, Tanya, Chinmay. Okay. Alan, I can see CBSE, Kushal. Okay, I can see CBSE and ICSE. Okay, I do see Anu is from State. Okay, I think even today we have more of CBSE and ICSE, surprisingly. So ICSE children out there, do not forget to share the link with any of your friends, any of your ICSE friends, even CBSE guys out there, okay? I'm not telling you to stop watching the session. I always welcome children from any board and any grade to my sessions. So all of you, in case you have any ICSE children who do not know about this session, who would like to be part of it, do share the link so that they can also join us. Okay, and do remember to subscribe to the channel Vedantu 9th and 10th, because we have been and we will be continuing to work very hard for you so that your exam, your study experience will be the best possible experience and everything will come out well for you in the months to come. Yes, so with that, let's get started. Thank you very much, Chinmay. No, you are not late, Abhay. This is the very first slide of the topic. We know that plants need water. How many of you like gardening? How many of you have plants at home? Tell me that. I would be interested to know. Now, personally, in the meantime, I can tell you what I think about plants. It's a great experience to be a gardener. It's a great experience to be having plants around. Oh, yes, I see a lot of me there. Priyanshi, Sangwan, Anshika, Jyoti, Anant, Kushal, oh, Purushottam. Yes, a lot of you. Yes. Very good, guys. Keep it up. And I hope all of you are into the habit of taking good care of your plants and not just ignoring them and not just leaving the job of watering the plants to someone else. Gardening is my hobby. Great, Shreya. I don't think there is anything better than having gardening or playing with a pet as a hobby, to have as a hobby, right, than anything else. Of course, it's personal choice, but in my opinion, playing with a pet animal or with plants as gardening is very, very refreshing to the mind. Yes, so you all know that watering the plants is extremely important. Wow, you have almost 18 trees, Sudhir. Wow, that's amazing. Now, let's look at why do plants need water. We all know water is important. Why do plants need water? Of course, just by sowing the seeds, your plant is not going to grow. You need to give it its necessary warmth. You need to ensure it's got enough aeration so that it gets enough oxygen, and you need to water it regularly so that it becomes a growing plant. apart from this, of course, plants need to be turgid. Without water, any living cell for that matter, without water, not just for plants, if there is not much water, it's end up shrinking and getting wrinkled, appearing wrinkled. That is why hydration is extremely essential, so that the cell can carry out its functions properly or optimally. Yes? Chinmay says photosynthesis, transpiration, stiffness, transportation, everything. Yes, so this is about stiffness or turgidity that I'm talking about. This is the case of a flaccid cell, which is the opposite of a turgid cell, wherein there is not much water, it's beginning to appear dry and wilted, right? We call such cells flaccid cells. Turgid and flaccid. Look at the cells which are zoomed out. A turgid cell, and this is what a flaccid cell would look like. And apart from this, of course, like Chinmay said, plants need water for photosynthesis. Extremely important. If you don't water your plants, they cannot carry out photosynthesis, along with, of course, the other ingredients, chlorophyll, oxygen, sunlight, and everything. But without that, photosynthesis doesn't happen. If photosynthesis doesn't happen, animals surviving on plants cannot survive, and hence there is an imbalance in the ecosystem. And finally, plants also need water for transportation, right? Like in our case, wherein we have a heart and a systematic circulatory system in order to transport all the gases and all the nutrients to the different parts of our body. Plants do not have a heart, right? They do not have blood. It is water that has to take up the role of transportation also in the case of plants. So of course, in addition to these, there are a lot more functions for plants, so for water in the case of plants. But these are the four most obvious and most important ones. Yes, so let's just summarize the points one by one. If you had to write it somewhere, it helps in seed germination, right? Secondly, it's essential for photosynthesis, provides turgidity, and finally, it helps in transportation. Yes, and now, in addition to water, what do the roots of your plant take up from the soil? Of course, this is a plant, this is the soil, this is the root system of the plant, right? Along with the water, it also takes up other nutrients, which we call mineral nutrients. Why are they important, and how does it take it through the roots? All these are things that we will understand through this chapter. Yes, this is one single root hair. Okay, these are the roots, and the tiny hair-like structures you see here are called root hairs. This is one single root hair that's magnified. And these are different minerals. Not all the minerals are mentioned here in this image, but these are some of the minerals that you can find in the soil occurring naturally, which your root hairs would be taking up along with the water. All the blue stuff that you see there is supposed to be the water. Yes, all the blue stuff, and these are the minerals which would also enter the root cell so that they can be taken up by the body. Yes. Okay. Now, the minerals, to tell you in a nutshell, they are involved in growth and synthesis of many substances in your plant, in the plant, right? So, for example, every mineral, every element, okay, can have its own functions. For example, magnesium is a mineral or an element which plays a great role in the synthesis of chlorophyll. And without chlorophyll, photosynthesis doesn't happen. And potassium. Right? Potassium is extremely important in order to control the opening and closing of the stomata, the guard cells, right? All of the, yes, we will be coming to all that, Aditya. So all of that is important. Each of these minerals would have their own respective functions. Deficiency or an excess of any of these minerals, any of the important minerals, can adversely affect the plants. Okay? Yes, now let us look at how minerals get absorbed by the plants in the plant body. Okay, so for the next few minutes, children, I will be focusing a little less on the chats so that we don't deviate from the topic. Let's make best use of the time that we have for the next 5-10 minutes. Do not worry if I'm not responding much to your chats. Okay, so in case you have any doubts in between, I will also be looking at the replay of the session later. Or if you really don't want me to miss it, do remember to type them in the comment section below so that I will definitely not miss it and reply to it if it's a genuine and related relevant doubt. Okay, so how do root hairs take up minerals from the soil? One mechanism is called passive absorption. Yes, so passive absorption, simply put, is the process by which absorption of minerals from the soil occurs without any energy involvement. It naturally occurs. No external force is required, or no metabolic energy is required for passive absorption. Yes, this is just a pictorial representation of this. Basically, if you look at it, what I have put here, this basically is the cell membrane. Okay, and on one side of the cell membrane, this particular substance is high in concentration, whereas on this side it is low in concentration, these blue dots. Yes, and that can naturally diffuse through the cell membrane. Some substances can naturally diffuse through the cell membrane without the involvement of any external energy or any external force. On the contrary, there are also certain substances which again can naturally come in, but not by themselves. Okay, it doesn't need metabolic energy though. Different from this in the sense that it needs the help of certain substances which are called carrier proteins. Carrier proteins, which basically just act like some kind of a caretaker. Okay, they are just there at the cell membrane, and where on either side of it, it would keep check. Inside the cell, how much of this substance is there? Outside the cell, how much of it is there? So from higher concentration to the lower concentration, it keeps helping them pass through to the other side. Okay, that is what carrier proteins basically do. But again, as I said, this also happens naturally without the involvement of any metabolic energy. Okay, so we call this as diffusion. This is simple diffusion, and this is called facilitated diffusion. In general, I am talking about, of course, we'll come back to the term diffusion later, but in general, I am talking about the mechanism called passive transport, passive mineral absorption. Right, guys? And now let's look at something a little different from this, which is active mineral absorption. Yes, this is the process by which minerals are absorbed using or spending metabolic energy. That is what is represented in this. This is again the cell membrane. There are carrier proteins, and you can see that these green squarish substances here are more in concentration here, less in concentration there. Sometimes you will have to spend energy in order to transport it from one side to the other, especially when you have to transport it against the concentration gradient, right? From where it is low to where it is high. Especially if that is such a case, external energy has to be involved, because such a movement cannot naturally happen. Yes, guys? Yes, we will come back to guard cells. It will not as part of today's session, but it will come later on in the next few sessions. So stay tuned. We will be discussing all of those. Okay, so this is about active. So how do you differentiate between active transport and passive transport? The simplest I would tell you is active. To stay active, what do you need? You need energy. Metabolic energy is any kind of energy that is released from the activities of the plant. Okay, so that is in the case of humans also, metabolic energy. The energy is used up for many different needs. You need to be using your energy in order to be active. Similarly, active transport occurs with the help of energy. Passive transport is the opposite in the sense that it occurs naturally without the involvement of energy, right? And now that we have understood two major mechanisms of absorption, let us look at a few phenomena or processes associated with water, mineral absorption and water absorption by plants. Have a look at this first. This is just a beaker, okay, a beaker filled with water, and we have put some dry seeds inside that. You leave these seeds soaked in this water for many hours together. What happens within a few hours? You would notice that the seeds are all swollen up. All of you must have done the germination experiment, right? Or even if not in school, as an experiment, at home at least you must have noticed your parents or somebody in the family making sprouts, moong dal sprouts. All of us Indians are familiar with moong dal sprouts, which are very, very healthy. Yes? Exactly, Kushal. So what do we do for that? What is the very first step that we do in order to germinate the moong dal seeds? We soak them overnight, or we soak them for at least 7-8 hours, right? At the end of that, what is it that you would observe? You would see that they have drunk up all the water that you had put them in, and they have swollen up. What do we call that process? We call that process imbibition. Yes, this is basically, technically defining it, it's the phenomenon by which living cells or even dead cells absorb water through their cell membranes. Okay? Imbibition, an extremely important term as far as your exams are concerned. Probably diffusion is something that you are more familiar with because you've been hearing it from your lower grades, but imbibition is a little different. Perhaps many of you are hearing it for the first time. Sorry. This is how you would define it. The process by which living or dead cells absorb water through their cell membranes, which we would describe as hydrophilic membranes, because they are water-loving membranes, hydrophilic membranes. Okay? Yes. And now let us look at another situation. This is something we have seen earlier in the case of passive transport. But the process that is occurring here is something called diffusion. Yes, what exactly is diffusion? Even if not from plants, from a plant's perspective, we all know what diffusion is, right? You just put a drop of ink in some water, in a beaker of water or in a glass of water. What happens? It diffuses and spreads around, keeps on spreading around in such a manner that ultimately the entire solution becomes uniformly filled with a mix of water molecules and the ink molecules. Exactly, Ananya. Higher to lower concentration, that is what we call diffusion. Movement of molecules of substances from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration. Yes? Exactly. Perfume is also an example, Ayush. Okay? And now let's look at one more. I'm sure all of you will start telling me what process this is. Of course, you see that this is sugar solution basically separated by a membrane which is a selectively permeable membrane. Yes, Kushal has already told me, Jai, osmosis. Yes, we are coming to that. This is a selectively permeable membrane or a semi-permeable membrane, by which I mean that this membrane selects who can pass through it. It doesn't freely allow anyone and everyone to pass through it. Like the security guards in some very posh apartments, they don't let anyone and everyone pass through the main gate. Selectively permeable membrane acts exactly like that. It's got a few criteria. If those criteria are met by whoever is trying to come inside, it will let them inside. Okay, so this is how a selectively permeable membrane or a semi-permeable membrane would let water flow from a region of its higher concentration to its lower concentration until a region or state of equilibrium is achieved. Okay, you can see that here there is low sugar concentration and here there is high sugar concentration, the green bubbles that you see there. Right? So obviously here there is more water concentration and here there is relatively less water concentration. Sugar molecules are not allowed to pass through this semi-permeable membrane. The semi-permeable membrane allows water to pass through it from where water is more to where water is less. And exactly like all of you have told me, this phenomenon is called osmosis. Movement of water molecules from their region of higher concentration to their region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. That is the highlight here, through the semi-permeable membrane. Yes, membrane. I think that a little bit of the text went hiding behind the image, so never mind. Semi-permeable membrane. Whenever you have to define osmosis, remember this, guys, you have to mention the word semi-permeable membrane. It's basically otherwise the same as, it ends up looking the same as diffusion. Movement from higher concentration to lower concentration is diffusion. When it is through a semi-permeable membrane, it is osmosis. Yes, the membrane is like filter paper. Like Kushal says, it filters who and what can pass through it. And now let us look at this. Yes, being happy, I know writing on this board can sometimes be very tricky. So sometimes we teachers may end up writing like doctors when we are writing on a few smart technology related things. Okay, so please don't mind, as long as you can understand what is happening, I don't see a problem. Okay, so these are the three different, yes, egg membrane, okay, whatever membrane it is, I just want you to look at them. Now Sangwan, I want you to post your doubt in the comment section below, because it's not exactly seeming relevant to this particular session, so let's not deviate from the topic. Please post your comment in the comment section below and I shall be replying to that. Okay, so let's not waste any time. This is exactly why. Okay, so please don't feel bad, any of you. Okay, now these are different situations. The brown parts that you see is a cell in all the three of them. The yellow parts that you see is the cell membrane, and all these green bubbles that you see there are solvent molecules, or some molecules that is outside the cell. And now we are going to be talking about the concentration of these molecules around, in and around the cell. In case the situation is such that the concentration of the molecules outside is lower than that inside, you would describe that to be this solution, the outside solution, to be dilute or hypotonic. Yes, hypotonic. Hypo means less, less concentrated. This one, where you see that inside the cell and outside the cell, it's more or less equally distributed or equal in concentration, you describe that as isotonic. Iso is equal. An isosceles triangle is one in which two sides are equal in length. Similarly, isotonic is that, means that the concentration is equal or pretty much equal inside and outside. Yes? Yes, Ayush. And the third one and the last one that I'm coming to is the type of solution which is higher in concentration as compared to inside the cell. You call that a hypertonic solution. Right? These three terms are extremely important: hypotonic, isotonic and hypertonic. It's easy to get confused. Just remember hyper. That person is very hyperactive. That child is very hyperactive, overactive. So hypertonic, extra concentration or high concentration. Iso, equal, and hypo is low. Yes, we are generally talking about liquids. And yes, this is where you need to understand the term called tonicity. Tonicity basically refers to the external osmotic environment of a cell. The tonicity, when I ask you, how would you describe the tonicity of this particular cell? What would you say? You would tell me it is a hypotonic solution. Tonicity of the middle one, it's an isotonic solution. And the tonicity of the last one is, it's a hypertonic solution. Now, keeping that in mind, let's look at this. Yes, guys? Have a look at this. All of you must have seen dry grapes being inserted or immersed in water, soaked in water, right? This is what I have shown in this picture. Yes? and within some time, just like we saw in the other case where seeds are getting soaked and swollen, you see that the raisins have swollen up. Yes, this is what we call the phenomenon of endosmosis. Endo is inside. Endo, right? Inward osmosis or endosmosis. What is moving here? Obviously, when we are talking about osmosis, we are talking about movement of water molecules. Water molecules are more outside the raisins than inside. So when you are putting it inside the water molecule flows from its region of higher concentration to its region of lower concentration, which means from outside to inside. And as a result, within some time, you see that the raisins have swollen up. Yes, guys, endosmosis. This is how you would define the phenomenon endosmosis. The next one is the opposite. If you take some grapes and put it in grapes, I'm talking about fresh grapes, okay, not about dry grapes, fresh grape as a fruit, you put it in some salt water. Yes, not in plain water, you put it in some salt water, keep it soaked and immersed for some time, you would see that the grapes shrink up. They lose out all the water from inside the grapes to outside into the salt solution. Water has moved, and that is what we call exosmosis, outward osmosis. Yes, guys, exosmosis. Exo is outward. Yes, when placed in a hypertonic solution, this happens. And when placed in a hypotonic solution, endosmosis would happen. Yes? Good until now? We don't have too much left. Just a few more very simple things. This is just an example of how living cells respond when they are placed in these three different kinds of solutions. Now, the example that I've shown here are that of RBCs, red blood cells. When you place them in a hypertonic solution, what happens? They shrink. Yes, Nitya Kalyani. Yes, shrink, water moves out. The second one is an isotonic solution, and hence nothing happens, right? No inward and no outward movement of water happens. So it is isotonic. Whereas when you place it in a hypotonic solution or a dilute solution, water comes inside or enters, and as a result, it swells up and may eventually burst. Now let us talk about plant cells, because our topic is about plant physiology. Yes, osmosis in plant cells. Let's look at what happens when a plant cell is placed in low water concentration outside the cell. Who is going to be telling me this? Yes, Ayush, we will come to that. Let's not jump into all that right now. Have a look at this. What would happen when a plant cell is placed in low water concentration? Yes, the water goes out, the plant cell would shrink. Yes, Anand. And we call this shrunken cell as a plasmolysed cell, or the phenomenon is called plasmolysis. A plasmolysed cell, the phenomenon is called plasmolysis, okay? Wherein the entire cell content is going inside, is shrinking inside, away from its cell wall. This square thing that you see here is the cell wall. Everything else that you see shrunken inside are the rest of the living contents of the cell. When the water moves out, it's trying to protect itself and is shrinking down. Right? That is what plasmolysis is, and this cell is called a plasmolysed cell. Okay? What about in the second one, wherein equal water concentrations inside and out? You describe that kind of cell as a flaccid cell. Right? Nothing happens when you place it in an isotonic solution. Pretty much equal concentration inside and outside. But what happens when you place it in high water concentration outside the cell? Which means you are placing it in a hypotonic solution. Water would obviously enter inside. Yes, so it swells up and may eventually burst. Yes, so these are the terms that we use for these. Yes, for the last one, the term that we use to describe the cell is a turgid cell. This is a flaccid cell. Yes. Exactly. All of these terms are important, children. Plasmalized cell, flaccid cell and turgid cell are what you would get when you place a plant cell in a concentrated solution or a hypertonic solution, isotonic solution and a hypotonic solution respectively. Yes, it's important to understand this because in your exam it will be asked, it may be asked, what happens when you place a plant cell in 3 different kinds of solutions, all of these. You don't have to memorize this, just understand how things happen, understand the meaning of each of these terms. Yes, and this will be very, very easy to answer. Okay, post any of your doubts there. Yes, now it is time for a quiz because too many terms and we should ensure that everything is pakka in our heads. Yes, so 3 to 4 questions that we have. Yes, Vinita, please post your questions in the comment section below and I will be answering it. The process of uptake of minerals against the concentration gradient using energy. This was asked in the 2015 exam. Anant has already given me the answer. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Yes, I can see A's and, okay, somebody says B also. Okay, Ayush, you also say it's C and yes, C, active transport is the answer because I told you whenever you see it's using energy is an active process. Obviously, an energetic person, we describe him or her as an active person. Active transport, similar way. Yes, the next question. A solution whose concentration is greater than the cell sap. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Okay, the answer is B. Yes, I can see a lot of hyper and B. No, Mansi, it's not C. Hyper concentration is higher than the cell sap or the concentration inside the cell. Yes, the next one. Movement of molecules of a substance from its higher concentration to its lower concentration. Okay. Give me an answer from the options, okay? Nothing else. 3, 2, 1, go. The answer is diffusion. Somebody said osmosis, but I have not said semi-permeable membrane here. Keep that in mind, children. Very important. You will not get full marks if you do not write the word semi-permeable membrane for osmosis, okay? One last question for the day. Inward movement of water molecules through the plasma membrane. Again, I will give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. Yes, the answer is end osmosis. I am very glad to see that most of you have given me the correct answer. End osmosis, inward osmosis. Yes, endo is inside, exo is outside. And that is exactly what we are referring to. And before we sign off for the day, I want to give you a homework question. I think it's been 2 or 3 days since I gave you a homework question. So, Ayush, coming to what you were asking, mention some real life applications of osmosis and plasmolysis. Why is it relevant to us? After all, it's happening in plants. People who have a love for plants, you would genuinely be interested in understanding these. But the rest of you, if you do not know why we are understanding terms like osmosis and plasmolysis, it's not just in plants, it is relevant to human beings also. Yes, so let's see who comes up with the best and the quickest answer, and we will be discussing that in the next session. But in the meantime, do not forget to download Vedantu's learning app, and we have been nominated for the User's Choice Award. We don't have any more time. I guess today is the last day which you can use to cast your votes, so that we can ultimately emerge the winners, right? And we have what we call the micro courses for those of you who want to study specific chapters that we have on the Vedantu platform, not from what we teach on YouTube. We have a mix of the teaching sessions which we do very slowly so that students of every level can understand any concept that we teach. You will have access to all our quizzes, doubt sessions, assignments, chapter tests and all of that for the chapter that you want to learn. That is what micro courses are, and you can use the link, you can use the code AMMIC to get a 95% off on specific micro courses, right? You get it at a very, very reasonable rate. If not this, we also have a longer term subscription called the Pro Lite subscription, which you can use to subscribe for the entire academic year, wherein you have a lot more amazing features, right? You have, you can even choose your own schedule. You can choose which teacher you want to learn from. Everything, All India Test Series, everything will be available out there. Unlimited quizzes, doubts, tests, assignments, what not. So that you up a car with all your chapters, all your subjects, your entire syllabus. And again, the code here that you can use is AMSUB in order to avail a very good discount again. And yes, in the meantime, do not forget to stay in touch with us through the Telegram group. And most importantly, do remember to hit the like button. If you have enjoyed today's session, we will be continuing with the same chapter tomorrow. Share it with all your ICSE friends who you think can benefit from our sessions, and subscribe to the channel Vedantu 9th and 10th. Yes, we have a lot more coming in the days to come and in the months to come. In the meantime, I would love to hear back from you. Anything that you want to discuss with me in general, motivation or feedback in general about this session, about the coming sessions, any suggestions that you have, do send me an email at ambika.gopalakrishnan@vedantu.com. And until we meet again tomorrow at the same time, take care, happy studying, work very, very hard, be systematic. We will be continuing the same chapter, and until then, this is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.